Hello everybody! Welcome back to the 2017 Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading Card Game World Championship. We're in round 3 now, and we've got a couple of Dragon Duelists who are 2-0 here. And one of them, well, I talked with Michael about this in round 1, is taking advantage of the surprise factor that you can get at a World Championship.
Yeah, it's absolutely. He's taken the outsider choice for this tournament, and he's playing ABC.
So this got kind of big over in Japan over the past few weeks, as people realized that they could use Decode Talker as a way to open up some extra slots to summon from their extra deck, and they could do things like have ABC Dragon Cannon 1 turn, split it up, and then turn those A, B, and C pieces into Decode Talker, and then summon another ABC and just go from there.
And it also triggers all of their ABC effects, right, when they send them to the graveyard, so you just
indeed.
Maximum profit.
Yeah, it's basically just better than using them for XC summons for the most part.
Yeah, well, it's a dream. I mean, that was always the problem with these kinds of cards. When you overlay them, then you lose a lot of the impact on what they can bring. Of course, adding link summoning, which is actually a cool advantage here that not many players I've seen from the deck list are actually taking full advantage of. So maybe there'll be enough to carry Charley through. If he wins this, he's surely a shoo-in for the top 8, right?
Absolutely. And his opponent, Felix.
Yes, our German competitor is. He's playing the more standard Card of Demise True Draco deck. Nothing completely out of the ordinary going on here.
I see he's got the split on Ignis Heat and Majesty Maiden. Instead of a 3-1, he's gone 2-2 there.
Is what was the recommended ratio in your opinion? Or
I like 3 Maiden, 1 Heat.
3 Maiden, 1 Heat?
For this particular tournament, yes.
Okay, okay. Yeah, everything else, it just it looks very, very standard in the spell lineup and stuff.
And I see he's got the Waterfall Dragon Souls, which has been fairly popular and often used as either to substitute for Majesty Maiden or just as more copies if you're already playing a lot of them. Yeah,
and you can do some other cool things for some niche things. We should be heading over to the table very soon. Like, for example, dodging your opponent's Monarch Stormforth or something. There's these very odd interactions that you can do with Waterfalls by just shuffling your guy back.
That's what you send them to the graveyard for the second effect.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. You send them to the graveyard and then you draw cards +1. Sometimes it comes up. It's not the main reason people are using it. People are using it just to get their masterpiece online. But
right. But if you could, ditch Metaltron 12 and just start reviving it every turn.
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
Like nothing's going to get past it if you make an immune masterpiece. He's only 2950. Metaltron's going to be 300 or 3000.
It's pretty huge. What are your expectations in this matchup then? Do you believe the ABC deck is going to be at the advantage or the disadvantage?
This is a really strange one. Because of its quick effect nature, it lets you do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to otherwise get away with, but also being able to split up helps as well. One thing that Charley's added, though, is in addition to his Union Hangers, he's also main decking Zombie World, which we talked about a bit in round 1. And I asked everybody for their homework to go look up Zombie World.
Open your box of tech.
Yep.
It should be in one of your playable piles.
To go and look at Zombie World and then look at the True Dracos and figure out why this is coming up now.
It's so weird because we went a whole WCQ season and it almost went completely unknown. No one was playing Zombie World.
No, that's because everybody's playing Zodiac.
No, this is true. And I guess when you move into a format that's more dominated by the True Draco, you start looking more for the answers to the True Draco.
And the thing with the Zodiacs is that they don't care. They care about the original type.
Right,
not change type, that sort of thing. And some just use Zodiacs. But the key here for the True Dracos and why Zombie World could be big here is that you can only tribute summon zombie-type monsters while it's on the field. But it only changes the monsters on the field into zombies. The field in the graveyard into zombies. The ones in the hand are still worms. So you can't tribute summon at all. And that's why this is a big tech choice against True Draco.
And then you start looking at your opening hand of 5 tribute monsters and you start wondering, did I build my deck wrong? Back in the day, right?
That'd be really unlucky. That's a Dan hand.
Dan Posey hand?
Yeah, the Dan hand.
The Dan hand.
So if you've been to a lot of our events, you probably know Dan Posey. And he has the incredible ability, this is his duelist skill for Duel Links, is to draw the worst possible opening hand. Like, you just hand him a deck, and if you want to know what the worst possible thing you can wind up with it is, you give it to Dan, you let him shuffle it up, and then he flips it over, and you just get garbage.
I'd have gone with maybe Storm Access or one of these more usable skills in the Dan Posey start, but hey, if you want to challenge yourself, certainly...
He's just too powerful. That's why. He's too powerful. He has to limit himself somehow. Or he will destroy us all and ruin our egos.
Dan, if you're watching at home, we're sorry to reveal your secret, but that's the way it is, my friend. Yeah, I'm super interested to see how this this match is going to play out. There's a heavy trap lineup over here. There's also a heavy trap lineup in Europe.
There is, and it looks like Futch made a change in his strategy between Thursday and today. So the last time I saw him going over his deck, he was main decking Fossil Dynapachycephalo. But when he realized how much tribute summoning he's playing against instead of special summoning, he swapped those out and went with main deck Ghost Ogres instead to try to take out the small
That's an infinitely
Dracos.
better change already.
And I think it's been working for him because he is 2-0 here.
One more win, and we'll lock him into the top 8 for... That round's being played today, right? The top 8.
Yes. All right, let's see who is up first. And it looks like it is going to be Charley. Now, we don't have the hand display that we do at a regular YCS, so he's a little more used to playing on our stage and having to wait for a while before he starts.
Yeah, we're doing this old school. Like every time I've actually commentated, we've had the extra information, so we're seeing this as exciting as you are.
That's a good duality. He gets Terraforming, Mirror Force, and a C. And Terraforming is what you want to see really early here in the ABC deck, because Union Hanger is the card you need to make everything go.
Yeah, you start filtering quite quickly for your deck to make sure that you're getting all of your ABC combo pieces to set up for your ABC busters, and you're also just you're also gaining the additional effects by sending these cards to the graveyard as well.
And the longer you keep Union Hanger on the field, the more free cards you're going to get out of it. Once per turn, you get this extra equip effect. So Union Hanger, when you play it, it gets you a Union. When you summon a Union monster, you get another one out of your deck that's appropriate and you get to equip it to it. So you see he's got normal summoned A, and he's able to get, what is that, C or B
That's
over there?
C.
Looks like C.
And then he's only the B away from making the ABC.
Right.
And his A is currently unaffected by trap cards. Is that right?
I think it's traps.
And he's also, if the A would get sent to the graveyard, if the C gets sent to the graveyard, he can special summon another ABC from his hand.
Right.
Be a defense monster or something, probably in his opponent's turn.
So one thing that always interests me with A, B, and C is that we didn't go with the color coding on them. So a lot of times we have a small cycle of cards, and one's going to do something with monsters, another's going to do something with spells, another will do something with traps. They will be color-coded. So the Gradle monsters, for example, Eagle Slime, or Eagle Cobra, and... Oh, it's escaping me for a moment.
The Crocodile?
The Crocodile. The one that... So they all trigger off battle, right?
Yeah.
But the one that also triggers off monster effects is brown, like an effect monster. The one that spells is green, like a spell. And one of the traps is pink, like a trap. That's a good way to get people to intuitively know what the cards do, even if they haven't really seen them before.
My favorite for that, not following the color coding thing properly, is Yang Zing. Because you always see Xian Yui, the red one. Swanny. And it's like, he's not affected by traps, he gets attack.
Mm-hmm. Well, in that case, it's like, okay, this is the fire one, so he gets big. This is the earth one, so he's defensive. This is the water one, so he flows around traps.
Yeah.
And this is the wind one, and he's green. So he
I
deals
never,
with
I, never
spells.
I never thought of it that way, just be like the water.
Mm-hmm. Ponder Desires for Charley. We'll see what he gets off that. Looks like some back row cards as he sets 3 of them before passing the turn.
The ABC ideal setup at that point then would have been to get Bujinji Tsukiyomi, right? And then get some additional cards, or is that not really ideal in this
Yeah, that's the old school one. In
format?
this, you can't really put Tsukiyomi out there if you don't have a link monster first, because you have no way to get rid of it.
Unless you use it to then summon Decode Talker, right?
Right.
Right, okay.
But you still want it in your deck because sometimes you get those hands. So Rao goes ahead, sets True Draco Heritage, and tributes it for Majesty Bane, which takes out a set Terraforming.
That means Charlie's probably got some live traps down there that he really didn't want his opponent going near to go ahead and set the Terraforming. Knowing how strong that making sure you have the guaranteed Union Hanger is.
Yeah.
He's valuing the real traps that he has down way more than the additional the Union Hanger replacement, which I imagine if you're an ABC player, you almost expect to replace on your opponent's turn. If they just let you have it, you're like, oh, that's cool. Okay, I'll probably just go and win the game now.
And he's got all sorts of Mirror Forces and friends in there. He's also got Floodgate Trap Hole, which was a pick I really liked. So when we were working things out for the Duel the Master decks at San Diego Comic-Con this year, we figured, well, right after the changeover, everybody's still going to be playing Zodiac. So we're going to put Floodgate Trap Hole in there, so as soon as they summon their first Zodiac, it's flipped face down, and they can't do anything with it anymore. And it's just sitting there in their extra monster zone.
The Challenge the Master things are always really, really fun. I saw this happen a couple of years ago. Cosmic Cyclone taken out on one of those.
Oh, it's Torrential Tribute.
That's pretty big. Yeah, with the Challenger Masters, and there's like sometimes there's like special rules with the decks as well. So then you suddenly start seeing these random things like the Elemental Hero one was like every time it fusion summons it draws 2 cards. And you're like, oh, this can't be too bad. Oh yeah, it's awful. They just have like a million cards and a bunch of dudes.
And we actually haven't been doing that as of late. So that's part of why it was so important to find all these hidden deck cards and just go digging around the format for everything that, if we got to go first, which that's the one advantage the Masters do get other than having really good decks, so they always get to go first. So you can make some deck building choices that you wouldn't otherwise.
That you wouldn't be allowed to get away with.
C special summons B from the hand.
And there's the trio.
And that should get Union Hanger as well. And the great thing with this is the way C got sent to the graveyard is that it was used to protect A. So one of the things Union monsters do is if your monster would get destroyed, you can destroy the Union instead. So what happened here is all of this is happening in the damage step right now, off the attack. Which
in
means
Felix's turn as well.
During Felix's turn, so he can't get any searches off of Majesty Maiden there.
And what's actually super interesting is that means that Union Hanger, if it survives back until Charlie's turn, is he'll be able to use its once per turn effects again, because he's now just abusing the once per turn effects in his opponent's turn.
Another thing that I want to point out here is you can see that Felix put his Majesty Maiden in the center. That might not mean anything in particular in this match, but that's something you're going to see quite a lot going forward. As the positioning becomes more and more important to how you play your cards, you'll find that certain positions are kind of inherently stronger than others at different times of the game. And early game, the center point is the strongest because it gives you the highest number of options when you start dealing with Link monsters, for example, or other cards that deal with columns.
Yep, which we'll be seeing a little bit later down the line. The center zone, you don't really want to put it directly below an extra deck zone and have your opponent Decode Talker straight over you. That's actually possible in this tournament and Charlie's deck, so that's a real interaction in this match. But that's probably not going to be what you're worried about when you're playing at the YCS in the coming months.
This was absolutely brutal to Felix. So Futch immediately activated his Union. One other thing Union monsters do is they can turn back into monsters. So he activated the effect to special summon B Buster Drake, and when Rao went to go and get his search off Majesty Maiden, it was hit by Solemn Strike.
Ouch.
And now Charlie is just going to start rolling in free cards, and he's in pretty good shape here.
Yeah, I don't know what Felix's faceline cards could be. But he is not looking good right now, is he? There's 3 monsters on the field, which can be straight away Link summoned straight into Decode Talker, and then there's going to be a bunch of triggers from the ABC monsters sent to the graveyard, and then he can banish them to make ABC. Forget the full name of the card. The ABC
Dragon Buster.
Dragon Buster, yeah.
All right, so we have our first Link summon of the World Championship. It is Decode Talker, Yusaku's original first ace monster.
The first streamed Link monster.
It depends whether or not you count the Code of the Duelist showcase at WCQ.
I mean, from players.
From players,
yeah,
yes.
from players. This is the first Link summon we're
from
seeing
players,
on the
yes.
stream.
So Decode Talker, he is on the field, and now you can see those big red arrows there in the center. They're pointing down left and down right to Charlie's center zone and his rightmost monster zone. What that means is that now those 2 zones become legal to summon more monsters from your extra deck in. And in addition, Decode Talker will gain 500 attack points for every monster that's in a zone that one of those red link arrows points to. And that's not even all. Decode Talker has another ability that lets it tribute one of your monsters that's in one of the zones it's pointing to negate something that targets your cards. And Felix has quite a few targeting cards.
Yeah, I mean, the super strong thing about that is it's not just some things that target your monsters. You can also protect your spell and trap cards from things like Cosmic Cyclone if you need to. And Decode Talker allowing you to tribute these ABC monsters that do something when they're sent to the graveyard means that you're actually gaining something from paying the cost.
And gaining something off paying the cost that's deck building 101 if you want a really powerful deck. See also Burning Abyss.
Yep, absolutely. If you can find ways to avoid paying costs. There we go. We're going to see Solemn. Is that Solemn Warning?
Yep, ABC Dragon Buster eats a Solemn Warning, but that also eats 2,000 life points off of Rao, who is also down 1,000. He's already down 1,000. So Decode Talker's at 28, and I'm not entirely certain what the attack points of B Buster are. But he's got enough ABC pieces to go ahead and make another.
Wow.
And if this gets through, it's game.
Well, he can take out the back row as well.
Yeah. And he will.
Yep. And we're going to see a tribute summon. That might be the likely play, right? To if it's a no, he's just Felix is going to pick up his cards. That's it.
That's over 5,000 damage on the field because remember the Decode Talker is up to 2,800 there.
Oh,
and Dragon Buster's what, 28?
I'm happy to see that. We're going to see Decode Talker being one of the deciding factors in.
Yeah, Decode Talker. It won him that one because basically
it gave him all the triggers.
Yeah, that's basically it. When you're just having Xyz monsters with there, you would miss out on all those extra triggers. But even if you have a basic Link monster like Decode Talker, you can just get all of those free triggers, and that's why ABC is that's the dark horse pick here. A lot of people didn't consider it because it doesn't have the Send to the Graveyard triggers of the True Draco Spell and Traps, but in a way it kind of does. You're just getting
on
a
your
free
monster
monster. Yeah, it's just on your monster cards instead of your spell or traps. So the fact that Charley Futch was able to identify that is very, very good. It's a great choice for this event.
It's not even that uncommon in the OCG to play ABCs at this time, right?
No, it's quite common. And part of the reason that people didn't look at it that much is because it's using some upcoming cards from Circuit Break.
Right.
That we might not be able to talk about quite yet, but there are some there's some pretty good cards in there, at least one, that allows some interesting plays with Ancient Fairy Dragon.
Ah, some shenanigans.
Shenanigans,
right.
as it were.
So we might be seeing people breaking out their ABC decks in the months coming as we go into the 2017-2018 season.
Yeah. I think it's highly likely. ABC was always one of those things that's just... ABC Dragon Buster is such an incredibly powerful card.
I was surprised we were allowed to print that, actually. Looking at the summoning condition. Oh, banish 3 monsters from my graveyard. Get this. Oh, I can get those guys back. I can banish a card. I'm
not as surprised because it's in a Kaiba structure deck. And if Kaiba wants a busted Buster Dragon, he's going to get it.
Yep. He just puts in a call and he's like, yeah, guys, you need to rethink this. We're like, but it already has so many effects.
He's like, no, more effects.
So going into game 2, Felix most likely opting to go first. Does that put him in a better position against the ABC in this matchup, having the True Draco going first, or is Felix now in an absolutely horrible position? Being able to, if he can get a smaller Draco on the field first, or just get the Masterpiece locked in there, he'll be fine. But the downside of that is that Charley gets an extra card to dig for his Terraformings and Union Hangers. Sure. And the other thing is, this is kind of a pick out of left field. Nobody's really expecting ABC. Does Raul have anything to put in against ABC? Has he got Kaijus or anything like that? Let's take a look. Interestingly, Raul does have Macrocosmos, which could be pretty big. He's got Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, but I'm gonna he's got Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, and he does have the ABC Dragon Buster in his extra deck. Okay. So he has the opportunity to strip his opponent out of the game. He's also got the Garmasil and different dimensional grounds as well, which are all, reasonable. I mean, they're probably not in there for ABCs, but they do have the crossover effect. Right, and that's one of the advantages you get from True Draco is that you don't have any natural extra deck monsters. So if you wanted to play the Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries package, or like take out Denlong or that sort of thing, why not throw ABC Dragon Buster in there just in case? Just get the key extra deck monster of every deck you even remotely considered and throw it in there, and if it comes up, it comes up. Yeah, and it can pay off massively if you, like, for example, in this case, stripping Charlie's deck out would be absolutely disastrous for him. Again, trying to face down a Masterpiece without your ABC Dragon Busters? Yeah, if he faces down Masterpiece. So the thing with Ghost Reaper, though, is that your opponent needs to have more monsters than you. Yeah. So if you put out one of your smaller Dracos, you'd have to wait a little bit to trigger the effect. And it might be a case where you're not putting out as much offense as you thought you would be early on. So you could open up an opportunity for him to get back in. Because it's not like he's got a bunch of bad cards in his extra deck other than ABC Dragon Buster. He's got Utopia the Lightning, Gagaga Samurai, things that can end games out of nowhere. So if Raul doesn't have a strong enough board position when he activates Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, it could still be the case
that
he gets blown out of
Futch
the game.
can just put enough damage on the field to get him.
Well, there's still everything to play for. I did just see Felix drew Masterpiece in his opening.
Always a good sign. Now I see Futch picked up Gamma Seal to take out Masterpiece.
Also playing... No, sorry, I thought I saw Card... Yeah, he's playing Card of Demise on his ABC deck as well, right?
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. But the whole point is that even if he has to skip a turn, or not necessarily skip a turn, but isn't able to capitalize on all of the ABC cards in one turn, he gets them out of his hand and into the graveyard, where he could possibly make multiple summons the next turn if he gets hit by Solemn Strike or Warning.
Yeah, I was wondering if he'd have too many cards, but to actually make it work. But because this deck is so fast at committing cards to the field, he's probably all right.
Now, I see this right that did Raul choose to go second?
Yeah, it looks like Felix has chosen to go second. I wonder if he's done that to mess with Charlie's potential side options, who then sides believing he's going second. And then all of a sudden ends up with a bunch of hand traps in his hand. And then he's like, actually, this is way less effective.
Oh, you know, it could be that, or he could be thinking about what we were just talking about having to not put up offense in order to use Ghost Reaper.
Yeah, he's going to try and rip his opponent's cards.
Oh! There it is! The zombie world!
Oh, Felix, you might be out of the game before it's begun.
It's the zombie world. Slams that on the table.
It's okay, Felix does have answers in his deck, and he can dig for it with Pot of Duality.
Dark Hole. Oh, there's a spell. There's a True Draco spell and a field spell would do it.
The True Draco spells he can't tribute, though, so he can't actually get them off the field to take out the zombie.
If he destroys it with Diagram, he could do it.
Okay, yeah, that'll be the other way. He doesn't look impressed, though, visually. When you do take a look at him, he looks like, really, is this happening?
Yeah, I wouldn't... He's probably thought about Zombie World, of course. It seems highly likely. But the interesting thing with that is that was Futch's 40th card.
Oh, really? That was the last card included in his deck?
Thursday night, it was getting down to the wire to submit your deck list. He had like half an hour left. He's like, I only have 39 cards. I only have 39 cards. And eventually, he settled on Zombie World, since he figured he'd be playing nothing but Draco. And we'll see how that works out for him. He's 2-0 right now. I don't know if it's played a factor, but it could right now.
Yeah, well, Charley doesn't look like, from the games I've seen, he doesn't look like he's struggled at all so far in this tournament.
Really?
Every time I've sort of walked past his table, he's never sort of seen, like, visually stressed by what's actually going on in the field. So it looks like he's had a pretty smooth ride, and he's going to go... if he wins this, he'll be a shoe-in for the top cut, but then it doesn't necessarily lock Felix out.
Gets hit by Twin Twister in the end phase, but that's going to take out the Zombie World.
But Felix is a sitting duck, so Charlie's going to be trying to look to maybe close the game out right here. Oh, no, he just goes for the small attack.
Yeah, losing the Zombie World really hurts, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised he went with the Twin Twisters when he was in the dominant situation.
I was a little surprised, because if he accidentally takes out a spell, then Rao can get back in it with even a reasonable hand.
Oh, he passes again. So what could be in Felix's hands to make him... He doesn't...
Futch slams Terraforming onto the table.
And Felix does not have...
Does he have an Ash Blossom? No, he's got Cosmic Cyclone.
No, the only hand trap in his deck is the Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries and the Max C. So he doesn't have any sort of disruption to his opponent searches. But if his opening hand must be in a really bad position. He must be holding multiple True Draco cards, because he didn't commit any more spell traps to the field after his first two got Twin Twisted away, and he's not been able to make a play in his turn. So Felix's hand is probably looking very weak, and it depends on... and I imagine Charlie's going to smell this and go, yeah, okay, I'm going to start shoving pretty hard here.
Yeah, if he didn't have the Cosmic Cyclone there, he might have just lost.
Of course, to take out the Union Hanger.
Right. But he gave back the 1,000 life points from Upstart Goblin. And now B. Buster Drake has the task of going to town on the remaining 6,500. And Charley really needs to win this before Rao comes up with another continuous Speller Trap.
Oh, that might be the... that's probably one of the True Draco... No, it's not. Otherwise, he'd have probably made the Tribute Summon there, right?
If he's got a small one, yeah. He gets in for another. Is B. Buster Drake going to go all the way? He's down to 3,500. Sets another. If he has a... if he's got a True King Trap there, and the other one's a continuous card, he should be able to summon the Masterpiece.
And then take out two cards. Oh.
But it looks like this is a battle of the not-so-good hands.
This reminds me back in the day when you had that Sangan poking you repeatedly, trying to bait your Mirror Force.
That's really annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, because you have to deal with it, but you just you refuse to let yourself physically turn over a Mirror Force into a Sangan.
Here it is, a slightly more physically imposing Sangan. It's got 1,500 instead of 1,000.
And it does, it makes a bigger monster later as well.
Mm-hmm. And it gets him a search when it goes to the... Oh, yeah.
It's a Sangan.
We already covered the search. It's a Sangan.
Felix.
The B stands for big. Big Sangan.
Felix?
Felix is looking.
He just
passes
passed again.
I can't believe it.
What on...
Summons a second B Buster Drake, and if this goes in, it's over.
Yeah, oh, wow.
And it's
what
over.
on earth could he have drawn? He did nothing for multiple turns.
He must have drawn nothing but every single monster in his deck and maybe some not so good
Like any...
spells.
I mean, sure, if he drew a bunch of monsters and then drew Card of Demise, then that's not going to go anywhere. But we can see he didn't drew... if he did draw monsters in that situation, he also didn't draw Monarch Storm 4.
Right.
Diagram, Terraformings... There were so many live draws in his deck, and he wasn't setting any more trap cards to the field.
And
so he wasn't...
Yeah. The amazing thing with that was that if the zombie world wasn't there, he probably would have gone nuts. Because he's got tribute monsters in his hand. You know he does.
Yeah.
But if he was able to play it on the first turn, I think we would have had an entirely different duel. So it looks like that zombie world did its job, even if it was immediately destroyed after one turn.
Yeah, it's
Man.
shut him down for the turn, so he goes, yeah, pass. Then the Twin Twister goes off, which was... I think actually a mistake on Futch's part. Is actually playing Twin Twister when he didn't.
I'm not certain.
He should have just
why he did that.
held on to it, I think, in that situation. And
Yeah. It got him through a solemn, though.
Yeah, well,
It
that's
took out
true.
one solemn, so
But he just wins with his normal summon. So it didn't even matter that the solemn strike was there.
It's true. It's true. That was one of the stranger duels I've ever seen.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
the,
it just... I feel really bad for Felix. Like, what on... I can't imagine what he could have drawn for him to just pass that many turns in a row.
That's a mystery. You know, maybe we should ask him later, because...
Yeah.
Later, though.
Yeah, I don't want to do it right now. But that's one of the problems with the True Draco deck, even in the WCQ season that was discussed, was the potential bricky hands.
Right.
And that was why a lot of the players decided, oh, I actually really like this because it's a deck that goes second extremely well, but it does have the tendency to draw those unplayable hands. And I don't want to be throwing games away when I could just draw any Zodiac monster.
Right.
And then actually go off.
That's why they started adding the Zodiac monsters in. Even if it's just 4 of them and a couple barrages. And that's what got Chester Henson, who unfortunately wasn't able to be here with us this weekend. And thus, Aaron Furman is standing in for him, doing a very good job of it, I believe.
He won his first round, right?
He did indeed. He won it in pretty convincing fashion. That was...
I actually missed the match because I was on the floor reporting back some of the results so we could see how some of the other players were getting on. But then when I came up here, I saw Robert Boykin, who's actually here this weekend. He was just going, "Oh my God, did you see this?" He's
yeah,
like
it was a
super excited.
really great match. If you get a chance to watch it on replay at some point, I'd absolutely do it. I won't spoil it for you, but there are 2 masterpieces in this match. One of them lives, one of them doesn't. It's fantastic. It was really good. But what was really exciting to me was to finally see our first Link summon of actual competition happen in the World Championship. And it was a huge, huge effect.
Oh, I really like this. I was wondering if Decode Talker would be the card of the weekend, but because everybody's decided to go more along the lines of the dinosaur style deck, where you can actually just have True King of Calamities, and you don't, and any other word monster you get back from the
It just
graveyard.
keeps replacing it by using it as material, so you don't need the extra zones.
Yeah, and it's just like that was the other option, wasn't it? You either play something that can support Decode Talker, or you play something that just stands on its own with 1 extra deck summon. If that's an Indestructible Crystal Wing, that's usually pretty good.
Yeah, one person is going with the Indestructible Crystal Wing, but I don't know how they're doing this weekend. That was the one deck in the main event that is not Draco or Dinosaur, is 1 Wind Witch Invoke deck.
What's actually super interesting, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like when the players got here, their ideas on what deck they were going to play was completely different to what they submitted. Like, I feel like the idea to all go in on the Dinosaur deck was something that was discovered a little bit later in the process than we expect, because we were talking, said, is this the obvious choice?
Yeah.
And it looked like a lot of players were undecided on that until they actually got to filling out their deck list for the World Championship.
One of the things that the North American players in particular had a problem with was this is just not a deck they've experienced.
Yeah, because
the deck just doesn't exist in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, in the TCG, we didn't see it at all through the WCQ season. I mean, it had a few... it appeared a little bit later, but because we played an entire season of Zodiac and True Draco, and you had this dinosaur deck that just couldn't go second.
Yeah.
it was just not viable to play it. And now it's actually the front-running deck for this, which has actually been really big in the OCG.
It's very good at going second now, and I think there's at least one person who's running the Psyframe Lord, or the Psyframe Gamma package to get extra disruption
during the opponent's turn, additional hand traps.
Yeah, so like if you activate your True King, that stays in your hand the entire time. So if your opponent tries to block it with something or with a monster effect, you just slam down Gamma.
We're also, something that I'm seeing a lot of the players that we're talking about, Time Lords. But
yes.
Hopefully we'll get to talk about those when they show up a little bit later in the tournament. But I was taking a look at some of the lists and I was like, hey, is that really a Time Lord?
Yeah.
Right here?
Zephion was actually pretty popular in side decks at the North American WCQ. Just nobody sided it in because they almost never played against True Draco. That's where you wanted, is you wanted to shuffle all those continuous spell and trap cards back into the deck.
I can imagine that's a super sad face when all of a sudden you see, hey, I don't see that card every day. Can I just take a read of that? Look at your opponent's cards. Look back at their card. Give it back.
Yeah.
Look at your back row.
And just
slump on the desk.
Shove it all back into the deck.
Just put them back.
It's really rough if they have it with Time Maiden as well, because when you special summon an Attributor, you get the first one, but then there's a second one waiting in the graveyard, whatever.
Yeah,
so you could start with the Zephion. Yeah, you can start with Zephion to clear all their field stuff back in, and then you can follow it up with Lazion to shuffle everything in the graveyard back into the deck to rob them of fuel and get some damage. So we're about wrapped up for this particular round. Unfortunately, we have no main event results for you.
That was because that one was so fast.
Yeah, Charley just dominated there. He's been in a championship state of mind all weekend. I saw him show up with his Golden State Warriors stuff, so he's ready. He's been taking notes and knows how to win.
He played fantastically, and I hope we're going to see him in the top 8 a little bit later.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us for this round, and we will have an ongoing timer for you so you can see when the next round starts. Don't go away.